everybody, Prepper003 here today with another SHTF concept video. This would be the third episode. Right now I've been a little bit preoccupied, but I'm glad to finally get another one out for you guys. But this one right here is something I feel that a lot of people have to face, and that a lot of people actually have a high risk of being involved in, and that is wildfires. Now in 2017 alone, there were 71,499 documented wildfires nationwide here in the United States. And during that time, it burned over 5.4 million acres, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. And that is a lot of fires and a lot of damage that has been done. Right now, even here in Wisconsin, we had 696 wildfires that were documented by the same agency, which resulted in 661 acres being burned. And with that, you're having all of that type of thing. You're having a lot of damage to homes, you're having a lot of damage to properties and everything else. So it's a very devastating thing that can happen just out of the blue. And there are even areas that wouldn't be normally as an occurrence for wildfires, like you do have in Southern California and other areas around the United States, but areas that are completely having a very rare situation, because on average, according to the Department of Interior, 90% of wildfires that are documented and that happen are happening as a result of human causes, whether it be arson, it be just accidents, things like that, but it is a predominant factor as a human issue, with the other 10% being caused by lightning storms or by lava and other instances like that of nature. So right now, with that being, it's a huge threat to us preppers, because according to the Veriskis, I know I'm butchering the name of that, but the Verisk's 2017 Wildlife Risk and Analysis, 4.5 million homes are at a high or extreme risk for wildfire damage, which means that's a lot of chances that if you as a prepper or me as a prepper are inside of that risk zone. So what I mean by that is that us preppers normally kind of prep for a lot of these far out there doomsday scenarios like nationwide EMP, World War III, Civil War, pandemics, things like that. But a lot of people don't really prepare for these everyday disasters, like I mentioned with my floods video. And wildfires are a very, very damaging thing, because as preppers we put a lot and store a lot of our stuff inside of our homes, inside of our bug out locations and things like that. So what happens is that we end up actually having our preps in a very dangerous location, with them being inside it. And it takes a long time to move a lot of stuff from your bug out location or from your home into a vehicle to bug out in case of a fire, because they can spark up and happen in a very short period of time. And depending on the variable factors into it, the wind and the amount of dry areas in it. For example, if you haven't had a lot of rain in the area and there's a high risk of fire and you have a wildfire happening, those wildfires can spread very drastically. So I'm going to get on to the next point of this, is going to be know your area and know your region and know those local threats. So as I've already mentioned, there are areas that are more prone to fires and those type of threats, but there are areas that are not. But just being, just kind of watch and know what's going on in your area and in your regions. For example, as I mentioned with the drought and high risk of fire, just keep and monitor that and monitor how that's going. And if there is a fire, or in an instance a wildfire that's going on that's coming towards your town, try to have everything pre-ready, maybe having some of your preps already moved out of one location. Try as a prepper, moving on to the next point, now that I'm already starting into mentioning it, is diversify your preps. And what I mean by that is don't have all your eggs in one basket. Try to have a little bit of preps maybe at your bug out location, maybe have a couple of caches, or caches, however you pronounce it. And then on top of that, try to maybe involve some people that are maybe in your prepper community into storing some of your food, some of your ammunition, some of those things at a separate location. That way, in case something like a wildfire does happen, which is a natural occurring thing to happen every single year, so it's not something that's going to be very crazy or very far out there. So what I get on by doing with that is that just being sure to try to diversify where you're storing your preps and try not to keep them all in one location. The next thing, which is going to be the very important thing onto this, and what happens is whenever these wildfires and things along those lines happen, is you have people that and mandatory evacuations, because you can't really just stay in. For the most of us, anyways, I know there's some people with specialized fireproof bomb shelters and everything, but for the most of us, we can't just sit there and storm a wildfire that's going to burn the house down around you. A lot of us don't have completely fireproof houses. So what's going to happen is that there's mandatory evacuations to where you have to bug out. And what I want to advise some people to try to do with that, and with having to deal with bugging out, which is a very hard thing, especially if you have a family, to just uproot and leave. One thing, along with having your bug out bags already pre-packed and ready to go, have a bug out or an evacuation kit in order. And what I mean by that is have something like this right here in order. Now, right now I do already have my family's bug out bags already ready, but I normally keep one container like this right here pre-stocked with a lot of extra provisions in case we do have to evacuate, but it's not some gigantic doomsday scenario or something like that. It's a natural occurring disaster that is going to be short-term or long-term depending on how it unfolds. So some of the things you might want to have in here is some type of clothing or a jacket or something like that, just in case of rain or something like that, or in case of the weather, because you might have to bug up and leave at a very short notice. So having something to help keep you warm and each member of your family warm, even if it's something that's small and minute, is something that can be very valuable. The next thing is going to be food. And right now, if you are going to keep canned food in your provision or evacuation kit, try to get the ones with the easy open lids. That way you don't have to worry about having to stock a can opener or looking for a can opener and wasting that extra time. That's just something that I try to do, is try to keep and diversify your food as well. Maybe have a couple of MREs in there, like a Mountain House, or like I have right here, a 72-hour Weis Food Company kit. These are very cheap. I think I got mine for like $20 on sale on the website. Then I also have in here, in a waterproof container, is a spare pair of clothes. I have 2 pairs of socks in here. I have 2 pairs of underwear. I have 2 shirts, a pair of pants, and then a rain-proof rain poncho in here as well. Just as another benefit to each member of my family is having one of those pre-stocked and pre-set up for it. The next thing is because you don't know how long you're going to be out there, depending on whenever you have to bug out, you may not have all of the financial capabilities or anything like that to be able to get and to rent a hotel room or an extra location. You might have to live out of your vehicle. So maybe having some water pre-stocked inside of your provision kit as well, just as an extra precaution for each member of their family. That way you're not having to try to scramble for supplies and everything in a already disaster-like scenario, to the point to where you actually, every store is not going to be able to have all those necessary supplies. Another thing I would recommend having in your kit is if any of your family members have needed medical needs, like they have prescriptions or anything like that, quickly throwing those in there as well as you're having to bug out, or if you're able to have some type of that medication already stored in there, just as an extra precaution as well. Normally I already have first aid supplies in my vehicle and also inside of my bug out bag, but just in case, having a little bit of extra first aid is something that is also something that would be good to have on you as well inside of your bug out provision kit. The only reason I do not have one in here is because, like, I already have one in my vehicle, and I also normally carry a small IFAK on me as well, but I do also carry inside of my vehicle just a small kind of things for cuts, bruises, burns, and things like along that lines. So the last thing is going to be really the thing is just kind of be aware and just kind of look into the area that you're living in, as I already mentioned before, but not just for wildfires, for all different types of natural disasters, because there are people that there are areas that are more prone to windstorms like tornadoes or other things along those lines, hurricanes, floods, earthquakes. So just be aware of what happens in your area, what's a predominant thing that can happen, and just be prepared for it. Because remember, those that prepare for today survive tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Prepper003 out. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys have to say and what you guys think for having to deal with wildfires. I wanted to keep the video short, but thanks. I really appreciate it.